So hello, good morning. My name is Alexander Borschel, and today we're going to go a little bit into self-defense on the street. I myself have defended against dogs, police. I've stopped a mugging on me because I'm 5'4", and that makes me an easy target. I have stopped my neighbor from beating his girlfriend. I've been in confrontations, and one of the things you have to keep in mind in a confrontation, if you can't de-escalate it and it continues, you need to be aware of your surroundings. If you're in a hallway and you're having a confrontation, it's a lot different than having a confrontation in an open field. Now, I've had many teachers, and one of my favorite is the one who taught me Chung Do Kwan Taekwondo. Now, this guy was what you could call eccentric. He used to say things like, "Who can you trust if the moon goes out?" Things like that. But he taught us how to get into a car safely. He taught us how to round corners safely. He taught us how to be amazing fighters. In fact, one of his the last third dans he promoted is the woman who organized the women's movement. She's the same person who taught me how to do an ox draw. So most of his students, because he believes so much in integrity and in preparation, they've gone on to have amazing careers or do amazing things. So one of the lessons that he had was he told us to bring in a quarter. Now, this is a guy who, while I don't believe was trained in harness, definitely had the mindset of it. So, he had us bring in a quarter, and then he'd have us team up, and he'd have us try to think of ways that we could, first he'd demonstrate a couple, that we could use just this coin as a weapon. Think about where you can get them in the eyes, think about what you can do to the teeth, to the soft files of the neck, so on and so forth. But one of my favorite is taking a magazine. Oh, holy shit. Okay, so I'm in Israel. You can't escape the Trump, I guess. So, okay. Preferably a magazine, and here's why. Because it can be turned into a makeshift baton. Okay, so we get it rolled up, nice. Now we're just going to tighten it. Even if it tears, that's okay. Because now we have a rod. So you see my arm? I'm a very, very white-skinned individual, so this will be immediate. Watch how hard this can actually hurt, just as a makeshift baton. So we're just going to wait a minute. Well, that actually really hurt. As you can see, there's already bruising beginning to happen. And I only hit at maybe 30% of my strength. That was just a love tap. If I wanted to actually break a bone, it's fully possible if this is completely tightened. Now, if you don't have a magazine and you have a newspaper, you can basically do the same thing. You just roll it up. It won't be as effective as a magazine, but it can still do the trick to stop a knife blow. Here, there we go. That's from that one strike with a makeshift baton from a magazine. Imagine what you could do to someone's head, or to their vitals, to their neck, to their groin, to their all over the body. Now, a newspaper, unfortunately, does not work as well, but it is sturdy enough to actually do damage. In a moment, it'll pop red. Another trick that I prefer to do is what's called using a kubo baton. Now, a kubo baton is, it's similar to a baton, but it's smaller. And what these are good for are they're good for pressure points, for things like that. When I go through security checkpoints, when they ask me what the hell this is, I say it's for my neck, and I try to crack it or, you know, demonstrate it. But to be honest, this is a tool that I can use to actually stop someone with, especially if I do a stabbing motion. This is bamboo. It's not going to break on somebody's body. I just want to show you. And this right here is from the newspaper, and this right here is from the magazine. So when you're on the street, maybe there's a brick. but I strongly recommend always bringing a magazine with you, even if you don't like to read them. The reason is because I live in Israel. In fact, just last month I was going over knife defense, and part of when I teach knife defense is I mentioned to people that in an actual knife scenario, it's going to be like a stab, 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 stab. It's not going to be like these wild kind of swings that you can defend against. And down the street, a soldier was stabbed to death at the exact same time. So you always need to be aware of your surroundings. There have been people who have entered buses, and then they've shot people up here, or they've self-detonated, killing dozens of people. Having something on hand that can protect you when you can't bring an actual weapon with you, because you're not going to be able to bring a gun unless you're a soldier or a police officer onto any kind of public transportation or in public here. You also cannot bring knives, scissors, even pencils and pens sometimes get confiscated. So you have to think creatively to create makeshift weapons. When I go on a plane, I have a pen with me, always. And that pen can definitely be used as a knife. It's not going to cut the same way, but it's going to rend, and it's going to do a lot of damage, and I can at least defend myself somewhat more than I would have been able to without it. So this is just a video I want you guys to think about when you get into confrontations that can't be de-escalated, when a confrontation has to happen, like say when a dog is mauling you and you're not going to reason your way out of it. You need to look around you for what you can do. So when I had this dog ripping my thigh out, I picked up a rock and you crush its skull in. We are warriors. We have to survive, even if we have to do things sometimes we don't want to. But the nice thing about a magazine as a baton is it lets you actually have control of the situation. Again, look at what impact it had on my arm, and that was using minimal strength. So imagine at a full blow. So this is the basic element to the idea of harness, of using what's around you to defend yourself. This not only means picking up weapons, but also finding the routes to get out of that situation. Because even if you're in a thick of 5 people, you can still move through them to get away. Now, I just want to thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry for the long video, but I believe it was worth it. Have a good day.